Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Nintendo/gaming video for this week, for the week of June 14th and 19th, where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion on them. And we have 5 stories to cover, including the NPD charts that were released last week, particularly one game that I'm kind of happy to see it seems to be doing well, at least here in the US. We do have a report coming out that WB Games might be up for sale. We also want to take a look at the Pokemon Present, or the Pokemon presentation, including one thing Pokemon related that I think is sort of just weird, but in any way, but you know what? There's an audience for it. If the audience likes it, they like it. We also want to take a look at a report that apparently seems to have debunked basically a report about how much the PlayStation 5 was going to cost, to some people having some issues with a graphical option for Demon Souls, and trying to clear up some of the confusion with the whole Spider-Man Morales situation. And then, of course, we have the EA Play, which is EA's version of their take on a Nintendo Direct, which I just finished watching, and, well, let's just say Nintendo's E3 26 presentation was let's just say that one was better than this one, though. While not as horrible as, like, I think 2017, the fact that Nintendo can focus on just one game for their presentation, Breath of the Wild, and do a better job than how EA did with this, it's just... We'll do a rundown on that one. But before we get started, though, we'll do what I like to give you a quick rundown on the quick My 2 Cents, where there's some of the stories that did catch my attention to a certain degree, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. But if you want to read them, links will be in the description down below. The first one is worth pointing out that it looks like a Kingdom Hearts game is coming to the Nintendo Switch, along with the PS4 and other versions as well, but it's not the Kingdom Hearts games that you're thinking of. It's basically called Melody of Memory, and basically it's a rhythm game and all that stuff. And judging by some of the footage that was just recently showed, I can't help but feel it's something that you would see on a mobile game, like on a phone or a tablet or anything like that. I think most Nintendo fans, I'm not saying everyone, but I think most of us were hoping for something like maybe a port of like the remastered version of Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, Dream Drop Distance, Rebirth, or all that stuff, or even try to bring Kingdom Hearts 3 over. I know some people will say it's impossible, but being how Unreal Engine 4 supports the Nintendo Switch and Kingdom Hearts 3 does run on Unreal Engine 4, it's not out of the realm possibility. But for this one, though, I'm leaning more towards skipping this one, but we'll see if this one clicks with audiences or not. We do have a report that Duke Nukem 3D World Tour that was, I believe, released on the Vita and I think on the original on the PS4, is now going to be making its way onto the Nintendo Switch. It will be out on June 23rd, which is kind of nice. I'm glad Duke Nukem is getting some love, even though unfortunately his last game, Duke Nukem Forever, didn't exactly perform very well. I do think a Duke Nukem game could still happen. I think they could try to bring Duke Nukem back. It's just really sad. This is what he's been reduced to a certain degree. We also learned that Google will be launching their next Stadia Connect, which will be out on July 17th. It'll be interesting to see how this one does. Last one I saw, it wasn't as bad. I thought it was kind of interesting, and there were some really neat announcements. Hopefully this one, we'll see how this one does. Hopefully it doesn't make the same kind of mistake or becomes as bad as, say, EA Play was and all that. And we do have basically we do now know in terms of how much a lot of these Lego Mario sets are going to cost. And according to an article from Nintendo Life, we are seeing basically some of these sets are going to be ranging from, and I'm basing this off of US dollars, to like ranging from like $70 to like $50 to even $40 and all that stuff. And according to what Nintendo Life is saying, in terms of if we were to add everything up, at least the ones that they have listed, you could see yourself possibly spending almost up to $600 on some of these sets. So I mean, some of these are going to be really pricey and all that stuff. Whether that's going to turn people off from buying the Lego Super Mario or not, that remains to be seen. But yeah, a little bit pricey on some of these Lego Mario sets out there, though. We also learned that there is a leak of basically Crash Bandicoot 4, at least a leak from a Taiwanese ratings board, though. As of right now, it seems to be only referring to the PS4 and Xbox One, as there's no word on a Switch version or not, or we don't know if a Switch version will happen or anything like that, which honestly I think that's kind of odd that Activision Blizzard won't even consider bringing a Crash Bandicoot 4 to the Nintendo Switch, considering that they brought Crash Insane Trilogy to the Nintendo Switch, and Spiral, even although they had to be convinced whatsoever. So then again, they're not bringing the Tony Hawk 1 or 2 remaster to the Nintendo Switch, so yeah, I mean, I won't hold my breath in this one. It's a shame because I would like to see it come to the Nintendo Switch, but as of right now, I'm not entirely holding my breath on it, though. And last but not least, we do have two stories in regards of Cyberpunk 2077 that came out. One bad news and one good news. First of all, the bad news is that apparently it has been delayed, though, and supposedly it's been delayed basically that... Oops, let me find. Okay, here it is. It's been pushed from its original September 17 release date to basically November 19. So yeah, it's being delayed, but it doesn't seem, it's not that bad a delay. It's 2 months, barring any major delays whatsoever. It looks like we're not going to have to wait until November 19th to play it, though, and it's currently scheduled to launch on November 19th on. As of right now, it says, according to Destructoid, PS4, PC, Xbox One, and Stadia. So, apparently last week there were some Stadia owners were upset that they have to wait a little bit later for to play Cyberpunk 2077 compared to the other versions, though. Some people were making videos about how it's a final nail on Stadia, although I think I'm not 100% sure on that, but... Looks like now, Stadia version, at least according to what Destructoid, it seems the way that they're writing it, is that it will be released on November 19th along with the PS4, PC, and Xbox One version, though. One bright spot on it to report, though, however, is that apparently it seems as though now, and this has been officially confirmed by CD Projekt Red on their Twitter account and reported on Destructoid, it seems that the current gen edition of Cyberpunk 2077 will be playable on next-gen consoles on the new hardware's respective launch. It says, quote, players who played the PS4 version on Sony's new hardware will see a significant boost to the game's visual thanks to the PS5 hardware. Furthermore, a hefty upgrade is planned for the release in 2021, which will further boost the overall Cyberpunk 2077 experience. This also applies to the Xbox One and Xbox Series X edition, thanks to Microsoft's Smart Delivery system. At some point, we're going to have a more robust update for next gens, which we plan to give free of charge to anybody who purchased the PS4 or Xbox One version of Cyberpunk of 2077, said CD Projekt Red's exclusive. In any case, you'll be able to play the game on next gen from the 19th of November when the game is released, and will look better on next gen from that moment. So, if there is one bright spot to report on this sort of delay, is that it looks like you will be able to play the PS4 version of Cyberpunk 2077 on the PS5, much like you could with the Xbox One version on Xbox Series X, courtesy of Microsoft's Smart Delivery. So it's nice to know that even if I'm picking up the PS4 version of Cyberpunk 2077, I'm able to play this on the PS5. So it does calm some nerve for some people, although they still want it. Although I'm sure there's still a lot of Sony fans who want to hear a bit more of in regards of Sony's backwards capacity, though. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the NPD. So last week, the NPD just released their charts on terms of what games did well in the US for the month of May, and some of them were kind of obvious. We saw Grand Theft Auto 5 on this list or anything like that. But one game made it on the list that I was hoping to see based on how well it did in the UK and based on how well it did in Japan, and that was Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And while that game may have not reached the top of the charts, it's nice to know that it certainly did well. It did become one of the, I think, top 20 best-selling games on, okay, that's my phone, don't worry about it, for the month of May. In an article from VentureBeat, if I could get it out though, it reads that, sorry folks, hold on one second, let me censor my phone, let me silent my phone to be exact. It points out that, quote, May 2020 did not have any breakout new releases, but the US video game fans opened up their wallets regardless, according to industry tracking firm from the NPD group. Spending hit $977 million for hardware, full game sales, and accessories. The favorites like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto 5 led the surge. So going down to the top best-selling games, though, apparently some of the games that made it on the list that are interesting, for at least on Sony's side though, Minecraft is at number 7, and these are top best-selling games of the month in the US, referring to May. Microsoft, for them, is Minecraft entered in at number 7, with Minecraft Dungeon entering at number 15. As far as Sony goes, right now, it seems as though MLB The Show 20 is on that list. Although you could say the exclusive for the PS4, Final Fantasy VII Remake, is also made it there. They're at number 8, while MLB The Show is at number MLB The Show 20 is at number 17. In regards of Nintendo, basically Animal Crossing New Horizon is at number 3, followed by with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition at number 14, while Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is at number 18. So, but basically rounding out the top 2, Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Grand Theft Auto 5 are at the top of the list. Call of Duty Modern Warfare at number 1, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 2 to be exact. Also, Red Dead Redemption 2 entered back in at number 6. Going down to basically the top best-selling games so far this year, it has Call of Duty Modern Warfare at number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizon at number 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake at number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 4, NBA 2K20 at number 5, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot at number 6, MLB The Show at number 7, Resident Evil 3 Remake at number 8, Madden NFL 20 at number 9, and Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 10. In terms of the top best-selling games of the last 12 months, they have Call of Duty Modern Warfare at number 1, NBA 2K20 at number 2, Madden NFL 20 at number 3, Borderlands 3 at number 4, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at number 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 6, Animal Crossing New Horizon at number 7, FIFA 20 at number 8, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at number 9, and Pokemon Sword at number 10. As far as the Xbox, Xbox One games go, the only one that is Microsoft or first party is basically Minecraft Dungeon, and that enters in at number 4. It's worth pointing out Minecraft Dungeons are on other systems as well. Otherwise, the top ones are Call of Duty Modern Warfare at number 1 and Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 2. Although Mortal Kombat 11 is at number 5 though. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at number 6, NBA 2K20 at number 7, Saints Row the Third Remaster at number 8, Madden NFL 20 at number 9, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remaster at number 10. As far as PS4 game goes, the only first-party game on this list would be MLB The Show 20, and that enters in at number 7. Although Final Fantasy VII Remake, the exclusive for the PlayStation 4, is at number 3. However, like the Xbox One, basically Call of Duty Modern Warfare is at number 1, with Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 2. NBA 2K20 is at number 4. Mortal Kombat 11 is at number 5. Minecraft PlayStation 4 Edition is at number 6. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is at number 8. Madden NFL 20 is at number 9. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is at number 10. Over at Nintendo one, the only third-party game that has certainly made it onto the top 10 best-selling Nintendo Switch games for May is basically Just Dance 2020. However, the list is basically all first-party games from that, and it's basically number 1 is Animal Crossing New Horizon. Number 2 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Number 3 is Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Number 4 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 5 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Number 6 is Just Dance 2020. Number 7 is Pokemon Sword. Number 8 is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Number 9 is Luigi's Mansion 3. And at number 10 is Super Mario Odyssey. So in terms of the takeaway from this, though, is obviously Modern Warfare and Grand Theft Auto 5 are continuing to dominate, and Grand Theft Auto 5 still continues to dominate and all, which it does make me kind of question why a PS5 version is happening, especially after what CD Projekt Red is doing with Cyberpunk 2077. But it's still making money, to say the least, though. But for me, seeing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on that list, especially from the top best-selling games of May, top 20 best-selling games, and seeing it at number 3 on the top best Nintendo Switch games, definitely puts a smile on my face. I am very happy to see that game is doing well. Maybe not on the same level as Grand Theft Auto 5 is, but nevertheless is doing well. I'm glad to see it doing well here in the US, though. And then, like I said, I think I said this last week, it does seem to me that Xenoblade is kind of following the same path that Fire Emblem did to a certain degree, where it was considered niche and not everybody it didn't have a huge audience or anything like that, but we're starting to see it sort of become more of an important IP for Nintendo than it was before, and I think they're paying more attention to it, which is good. So I'm glad that Xenoblade Chronicles, the series, I'm glad it's getting the attention it deserves, and I am glad to see that the Definitive Edition is doing well. So overall, another NPD. Grand Theft Auto 5 is basically becoming the next Skyrim, let's be honest, that's what it's turning into. And like I said, I'm happy to see how Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is doing well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 2, and this one has to do with a report coming out that WB Games might be up for sale. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My Two Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a interesting report that has come out in regards of WB Games. Now, most people know of WB Games for most of their IPs, from like the Lego video games they have done to like the Batman Arkham series, which is loved by a lot of people out there. To even, the recent release of, like games like Mortal Kombat 11, which continues to do very well, which, let's also not forget, WB Games is also the one that picked up and bought Midway after they pretty much closed their doors for good and all that stuff. Well, now there seems to be a report coming out, which, if it's true, that it looks like WB Games we may not see them again, or Warner Brothers Interactive, and that their IPs could be used by other companies. Though, while several articles have pointed out on this, majority of this came from an article from CNBC, and according to what CNBC is reporting, the article states that AT&T seeks sales for Warner's gaming units could fetch around $4 billion, sources says. Some of the key points they point out is that AT&T is considering selling its Warner Brothers gaming division for about $4 billion, sources says. Take-Two Interactive, Electronic Arts, and Activision Blizzard have all expressed interest in buying the units, which owns titles include Mortal Kombat and Harry Potter Wizard Unite. AT&T is looking at diversifying assets to serve its almost $200 billion in debt. According to the article, it reads that AT&T is discussing a sales of its Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment gaming division in a deal that could fetch about $4 billion, according to people familiar with the matter. Take-Two Interactive Software, Electronic Arts, and Activision Blizzard have all expressed interest in buying the game division, says the people, who asked not to be named because of discussions are private. No deal is assured or imminent, two of the people says. Many of the video games titles within Warner Bros. Interactive are tied to Warner's own intellectual properties, including Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and the Lego movies. The units also own the Mortal Kombat and the Scribblenauts series. A deal might involve a commercial licensing agreement where AT&T could continue to get revenue from its IP, the people said. Spokespersons at AT&T and Take-Two declined to comment. Spokespersons at EA and Activision weren't immediately available for comment. Former Warner Media CEO John Stankey, Stankey, is set to replace Randall Stephenson, Stephenson. Apologize, I'm not saying these names correctly. As the new chief exclusive officer of AT&T on July 1st. John may look into diversing assets after activist hedge fund Elliott Management took at $3.2 billion stakes last year, calling for diversity and leadership change. Elliott called for AT&T to sell non-core assets, including DirecTV transaction. John hasn't been in favor of pursuing. John says AT&T is focused on a lot of work around portfolio rotation, rationalization. Again, I apologize, I'm not saying the word correctly. At Morgan Stanley Technology, Media, and Telecom Conference in March, AT&T acquired Time Warner for $109 billion in a deal that closed in 2018 and has about $165 billion in debt. Former Hulu CEO Jason took over as Warner Media CEO on May 1st. So it's going to be really interesting to see if this goes through, and it's going to be really interesting to see what about these IPs going forward. I mean, some people have some reservation about some of these companies like Activision, Blizzard, Take-Two Interactive, and even EA, given some of the reputations they have in terms of the whole monetization and so forth. But it will also be very interesting to see what the future holds for games like the Harry Potter license to the Batman license going forward. I mean, we've been hearing rumors about Batman Night of the Owl and all that stuff. To basically about the future of Mortal Kombat, especially if a Mortal Kombat 12 ever happens and all that stuff. So it's kind of interesting if this turns out to be true. And in a way, it would be kind of sad to see sort of Warner Brothers or WB Games basically cease to exist. It would be very unfortunate, though. I mean, they have produced some good games, even single-player games, but they've also had their share of controversies as well. So overall, it's a very interesting report. It will be really interesting to see if this report does turn out to be true. But if it is, it looks like the days of seeing the logo, WB Games, it looks like those days might be over. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3. And this one has to do with the Pokemon Company holding the Pokemon Present, or their take on, like a direct or anything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Pokemon Present, or basically the Pokemon Company's take on, their at least their own approach to a Nintendo Direct and all that stuff. So basically, we had the Pokemon Company do their Pokemon Presents ever since the release of basically Pokemon I think it was Pokemon Sword and Shield, though, a game that has been somewhat diverse from a lot of Pokemon fans, but so far it doesn't seem to have done really, so far as from sales wise, it's been doing very well. And during this presentation, they made some announcements on a couple things. Two mobile things, one a game and one somewhat of a game, to basically a remake of supposedly a classic on the Nintendo 64. I never got a chance to play it though, and this might be a good opportunity now that's coming to the Nintendo Switch. And an update on basically the DLCs that are coming to Pokemon Sword and Shield. We'll start off with the first one, and that has to do with the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion pass, the Island of Armor. It reads, a quote, this information from MyNintendo.com, although I did watch the presentation as well. The first new adventure unlocked by the expansion pass take place on the Island of Armor, an island of the Galar region. Many Pokemons make this island their home, living freely amidst the lush nature. The island is also home to a dojo for Pokemon battle, where players and their Pokemons will train hard to become even stronger under Mustard, M-U-S-T-A-R-D, the dojo's master. In celebration of the launch of the Island of Armor, a special max raid battle featuring the mythical Pokemon Aora will be available in Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. If 1 million players around the world win this max raid battle from June 17th through June 28th, trainers can receive a special shiny Zeraora. The celebration continues in Pokemon Go, where Galara, Farfetchd, again, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, will make an appearance, and players will receive a special avatar item based on the clothing they can wear during their adventure on the Island of Armor. Alright, so that's pretty much all the information of the for the expansion pass. I might take a look at it, though, and all that stuff. Again, I'm not the hugest Pokemon fan out there, or really a big Pokemon fan, but it is something I would consider taking a look at. The one that I probably will take a look at the most, and I never played, but I might have this opportunity to try it out, would be Pokemon Snap. And based on the trailer that shows so far, and based on the information that comes out, it looks like this is basically a remake of the original release back in 1999. Basically, the article reads that the new Pokemon Snap game for the Nintendo Switch system is based on its namesake, which was first released for the Nintendo 64 console in 1999. This game will take trainers on an adventure to unknown islands overflowing with natural sights such as jungle and beaches, where they can research various Pokemons in their natural habitat. They will take photos to make their own in-game Pokemon Pokedex, all while discovering new, never-before-seen Pokemon expressions and behavior. So the fact that this one's getting a remake is kind of interesting, and this one I might take a look at as well, though. Again, I never played the original one back in 1999, but it is one I am willing to take a look at as well. And then, of course, we have some information on some of the mobile ones. We learned that basically we have more information about Pokemon Go, and it includes, says, quote, in collaboration with Niantic, Niantic, the Pokemon Company announced that Mega Evolved Pokemon will appear in the real world in Pokemon Go. Fans could look forward to experience a new take on Mega Evolution that takes advantage of Pokemon Go's unique gameplay. They also announced the Pokemon Cafe Mix, which is basically a free-to-start or another way to say it, free-to-play game. So obviously there's going to be in-app purchases and so forth. And they basically say that Pokemon Cafe mixes a unique puzzle game where players can link Pokemon icons together by swirling them around. To link icons, players will need to grab a Pokemon icon and drag it next to another icon of the same Pokemon species. Icons will be cleared after they are linked together. The players will be the owner of a cafe that Pokemons visit, where they will work alongside Pokemons to prepare drinks and dishes for Pokemon customers by completing puzzles. Pokemons on the cafe staff have special cafe skills that can be used to help complete puzzles. Once a puzzle is complete, the player can serve an order to a customer. The player can increase their friendship level with Pokemon by serving them delicious drinks and dishes. And more puzzles are completed. The cafe can be upgraded by getting new tools or having new areas added. New Pokemons may come and visit, lure in by different upgrades. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one is, especially since this is they're calling it a free to start. It's pretty much a free to play game. So it's going to be interesting to see what the microtransactions are and how bad are they. Are they ones that you can still enjoy the game and somewhat tolerable, or if it becomes a god-awful pay-to-win situations, and we've seen those kinds of situations before. And last but not least, probably the most bizarre one that they showed at the Pokemon presentation, and that is Pokemon Smile. And I kid you not, I think it's weird, but kind of interesting at the same time. The article from My Nintendo basically says, quote, "With Pokemon Smile, Pokemon continues to expand its app offerings for younger children by incorporating the world of Pokemon into the everyday tasks of brushing your teeth." You hear that right, brushing your teeth. The app is a unique new mobile experience for the Pokemon brand that makes brushing your teeth a fun activity and encourages kids to develop good brushing habits. Pokemon Smile is available for download at no cost on the Apple Store and Google Play. They're basically advertising that there's no microtransactions in it, which, if what they're saying is true, I think that's good, at least for parents who are worried about this being, flooded with microtransactions. If what they're saying is true, that is. Anyway, Pokemon Smile uses a mobile device camera to observe the player's toothbrush activity. If the player skillfully brushes their teeth, they can defeat caffeine-causing bacteria depleted in the game and then catch Pokemon. The game will guide the user through the toothbrushing process so each player can help them brush all areas of their mouth. Parents can receive notifications from Pokemon Smile and up to 3 set times per day that reminds them it's time for kids to brush their teeth. They can also set the duration of each toothbrushing session to be between 1 and 3 minutes based on various needs of children of different ages. The app is filled with elements to encourage players to continue playing the game. It just sounds odd, that's all. Excuse me. Playing the game with the interest of slowly building a habit of brushing their teeth. Players who will want to keep coming back to catch over 100 species of Pokemon in Pokemon Smile and fill out their in-app Pokédex. They can also collect fun in-app decoration headwear to display themselves virtually as they brush their teeth. Now, I know this whole thing with Pokemon Smile is intended for kids and all that stuff, but I can't help but feel, I'm sorry, this is just weird, but I can't help but feel that most likely you're going to see a lot of adults, especially diehard Pokemon fans, just downloading this. I mean, it's strange, but at the same time, if it encourages children to brush their teeth and all that stuff, I can't say I'm against it. I mean, one thing I remember, and this may sound crazy or sound weird for some people like this, and I know this is going to be a strange comparison or to some folks out there, but I remember in 2016, during the promotion of the movie Deadpool, you had Ryan Reynolds dressed up as Deadpool talking about breast cancer and testosterone cancer. And as bizarre and weird and somewhat funny as it is, if it raises awareness and gets people's attention on it, though, I can't really complain about it. And I mean, if what they are doing with this Pokemon Smile is to encourage children and encourage them to brush their teeth and all, I mean, I'm not going to argue against it, though. I just think it's just weird, but I'm not really against it. But like I said, I know this is supposed to be targeted towards kids and all that stuff, but I can't shake the feeling that you're going to hear stories about possibility that adults are going to download this and they're going to play it themselves. So something that looks like it's targeted towards kids. I wouldn't be surprised if I hear adults, of adults trying this out and all that stuff. So overall, it's interesting what they did with this Pokemon presentation and all that stuff. Again, I'm not a really big Pokemon fan, but I'm sure there are some areas that some people like, though. The one that kind of stood out for me would be basically that Pokemon Snap. Like I said, I never played that one before, so it is one that I'm willing to keep an eye out and maybe try out as well. Plus, they said that next week there's going to be another Pokemon Present, so it's kind of interesting to see how that one's going to play out next week. So overall, for Pokemon fans, there are some that are going to like, some that are not going to like. And I will say that like I said, Pokemon Snap is something I'm willing to try. Although that Pokemon Smile, I just think that's just bizarre and weird. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm sure it might encourage children to brush their teeth and all. It just seems weird. That's all. It's just weird. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 4, and this one has to do with some reports coming out in regards of the PS5 in terms of pricing, to even some comments made in regards of Dark Souls on PS5 to the Miles Morales Spider-Man game for the PS5. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 4th part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at several stories that came out in regards of the PS5. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware last week Sony held what was basically their PS5 event, or PS5 State of Play, however you want to look at it though. And there were certainly some interesting announcements that came out of it, including some new games like the upcoming Spider-Man's Miles Morales and the PS5 remake of the PS3 classic Demon Souls. And we finally also got a chance to look at what the system looks like. And I will admit that while I still think the PS5 looks weird in terms of its design, though, I'm still looking forward to the system nevertheless, and getting ready to try out some of the games, especially considering now that we have both a digital version and a version that plays physical media and all that stuff. Now, one of the things that has came out though one of the things that has been kind of floating around is basically, what is the price point? Like, how much is this thing going to cost, to be exact? And that's been sort of the questions that have been floating around lately. Now, earlier this week, there was a rumor, or at least a rumor that kind of floated around, and according to one person, they basically had a report claiming that the PS5 was supposedly going to cost like around, at least this was from a French Amazon website, they're basically saying like 500 euros to the digital edition being like 400 euros. It gave the impression that the system might be, I mean, I don't know 100%, although this is just a rumor as well. I've been hearing reports of it claiming it could be like $500 or something like that. Well, this rumor got debunked earlier this week when Amazon France came out and talked about the image that was shown out there about the price point. According to them, their claim is that it was fake. From an original article from Tech Radar, which they now updated, it reads from the updated part though, quote, Amazon France has confirmed to Tech Radar that the image being circulated with the PS5 price and release date is a fake, and not from its website. The screenshot showing a PS5 product page on Amazon France with a price of 499 euros and a release date of November 20 is a fake, and it's not coming from our website. An Amazon France spokesman told us, though. So the article says, so that's that. Like we said below, beware of bogus PS5 price stories. There's going to be a lot of them until Sony finally confirms what the price of the console is. So it turns out to be this report about what the price is going to be, or at least the report claiming of what how much the PS5 is going to cost. Obviously, that doesn't excuse me. Obviously, it turned out to be bogus and all that stuff. So it looks like we're gonna still have to wait to see how much it's going to cost, though. And I think that's something we've been trying to figure out for quite some time. Although there is supposedly Sony is making the claim is that it's not going to be $400 or anything like that, like what the PS4 was. So are we looking at maybe $450? Are we looking for something more expensive than, say, $500 or anything like that? So it's still a little bit excuse me, there's still a little bit unknown. So for now, we'll still have to wait until the official price of it, until we hear the official price from Sony. But for right now, that's supposedly Amazon France site that has the claim of what the price is and the release date. According to Amazon France, it looks like that is, apparently to them, that is fake. On to the next one, though, it looks like is excuse me, is regard of Demon Souls. And this one, for some people, some people are not happy about it, others are not as bothered by this. And this has to do with the fact that apparently it seems as though that Demon Souls on the PS5 is going to offer a graphical option where you're going to be able to either play it with, I believe, with the best visuals, but at 30 frames per second, but at a lower resolution. I mean, like high resolution or a lower resolution, but running at 60 frames per second. In an article from Push Square, it says that, quote, as detailed in a PlayStation blog post, Demon Souls will offer two different graphical modes. One will focus on fidelity and the other on frame rate. The article doesn't state what frame rates will be offered, but we have to assume that the game will offer a 60 frames per second should you opt for that. Meanwhile, the option to focus on graphics will probably run at 30 frames per second. That's speculation for our part, although we think it makes sense for a project this large and grand. Now, assuming this is true, and I'm going to assume that if they're going to offer a high resolution, my guess is it's going to be 4K at 30 frames per second, while the lower resolution at 60 frames, I mean, it could be 1080p, 60 frames per second. That is a possibility. But if that is the case, assuming what I said is correct and all that stuff, I welcome that decision. I don't have a problem with a game that has a graphical option. I mean, if you had to choose between, like a higher resolution or higher frame rate, I'm going to go with the higher frame rate over the higher resolution. I mean, one example is the game Neo 1 and 2 for the PlayStation 4. That game had an action mode and a movie mode. Movie mode had the game had a higher resolution but running at 30 frames per second, where action mode had it at a lower resolution but at 60 frames per second. Playing on my base PS4 means you can get either 1080p 30 frames per second or 720p 60 frames per second. Even the game Fire Emblem Warriors on the Nintendo Switch, when playing it in dock mode, had also a graphical option. You could play it at 1080p 30 frames per second or 720p 60 frames per second. And I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this idea of a graphical option. I know some people were hoping for that 4K 60 frames per second and all that stuff, but I'm not bothered with the decision to choose between having a higher resolution or having a stable frame rate, or having a higher frame rate to be exact. I mean, I will go with the higher frame rate over the higher resolution any day. Not that I'm against 30 frames per second. I do think a game could run well at 30 frames per second, provided that it is stable enough, it runs at a stable 30 frames per second. But if I had to choose between higher resolution or a higher frame rate, I'm going to go with that higher frame rate, that 60 frames per second to be exact. So I welcome this decision to add this graphical option for the upcoming release of Demon Soul Remake for the PlayStation 5. And last but certainly not least, though, we do now have Sony sort of clearing the air to a certain degree with the whole situation with the Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, that was revealed during the PlayStation 5 event, and while it certainly was exciting to see another Spider-Man game from Insomniac, it kind of raised some questions, though. Was this Spider-Man 2? Was this a standalone game? Was this just a remaster of the first Spider-Man game with this Miles Morales? Was this a DLC and all that stuff? Well, Sony basically came out and sort of released a statement in regards to this, and they kind of came out with somewhat of an apology, saying that it wasn't trying to mislead people with it, though. So from an article from GameSpot, it reads, quote, PlayStation top boss has said that the company was not trying to be misleading with how it announced Spider-Man's Miles Morales. The game announcement trailer during the recent PS5 showcase positioned the game as an all-new Spider-Man title starring Miles Morales. But a PlayStation exclusive later referred to it as an expansion to the PS4 Spider-Man game. Developer Insomniac essentially stated that Spider-Man Miles Morales will be a standalone game. It was an unquestionable Confusion Series event, and neither Sony nor Insomniac had full details of what kind of game Spider Miles Morales will be. But for Jim Ryan, he stressed that the game is something PlayStation fans should feel excited about. Though, it says, quote, I can safely say that we will not effectively lead the next generation portion of the show with something that wasn't either trivial or misleading, Ryan told GameStop sister site CNET. Eagle Eye fans noticed that some of the locations in Spider-Man's Miles Morales trailer appear to be from the PS4 Spider-Man game. Bloomberg's report that Spider-Man's Miles Morales is not an expansion or a remaster of the PS4 game, but it's also not a full-on sequel. Instead, it describes by the site as a brand new standalone game similar in scope to Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Sony's EVP head of European business, Simon, likened it to an expansion that uses an upgrade version of the original. There's a substantial Miles Morales component, which is expand elements, but also within the game there's been major enhancement to the game and the game's engine. Obviously, deploying some of the major PS5 technologies and features, Simon says. Spider-Man Miles Morales, whatever kind of game it ends up truly being, will be a launch title for the PS5 this year. So, obviously, Sony is trying to sort of clear out some of the confusion. So, the way I've been reading it and the way I've been seeing it, it sounds as though it's going to be sort of like kind of like something that takes place, if I'm reading this correctly though, it could be something that takes place after Spider-Man on PS4, but before, like say Spider-Man 2, kind of like in a way, kind of like how Borderlands the pre-sequel was. That took place after the first Borderlands, but before Borderlands 2, so it could be that, or who knows, but it certainly did add some confusion, but we'll find out. Hopefully we'll learn more information about the Miles Morales Spider-Man game. That is one I'm looking forward to trying out. I did enjoy the PS4 Spider-Man game, though, from Insomniac. That was definitely a fun game, and definitely probably the best Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2, released back in 2004. It's been a long time. So, overall, it seems as though they tried to clear up some of the air, though. Hopefully we'll see more information about Spider-Man's Miles Morales as we move closer and closer to the launch date of the PlayStation 5. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fifth and final part, and this one has to do with EA Play. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fifth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with EA Play, though. So basically, I just got around watching EA Play, which was about 50 minutes, and it felt like take anything exciting about the Nintendo Direct and just literally just throw it out the window. I mean, there wasn't really anything exciting about this in any way, though. I mean, people were hoping that they would make announcements of this and that, but a lot of the stuff that they didn't announce just really didn't really click with me. The announcements that they made at the EA Play basically was that we know that Apex Legends is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that will have crossplay. So obviously, there are probably some Nintendo fans out there that are looking forward to this game coming to the Nintendo Switch. We've seen basically, after all, Fortnite has been on the Switch. Warframe, Warface, Paddling, Overwatch, and apparently they seem to be doing very well. So obviously they decided, yeah, let's bring Apex Legend over. We haven't really seen any screenshots or any gameplay footage of how it runs on the Nintendo Switch. Hopefully we'll see some actual gameplay footage at some point, but that's basically it. It was just a brief announcement, and they also said that they're bringing 7 games over to the Nintendo Switch. What those games are remains to be seen. We also know that basically they're bringing FIFA, which is the Legendary Legacy Edition, which is basically the same version as last year, but with a roster update and so forth. So that's much as far as we can tell in terms of Switch support or anything like that. So, but somewhat better. I mean, Burnout Remastered came out and everything like that. We did see a little bit of Star Wars Squadron. It might be good, but I have to see more of it and all that stuff. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, Jedi Fallen Order was definitely a good game, but that was from Respawn, not EA. I mean, the fact that Respawn had to produce a good Star Wars game where EA couldn't even produce a good Star Wars game, I still have my doubts on it. I do want to know how much of the gameplay was accurate and how much of it was either bullshot or vertical slice. So that's something, so we'll have to wait and see. Supposedly there's not going to be any microtransactions, at least according to what we've been hearing, so we'll see if they stick to that, though. Rocket Arena that they showed, that's great for those who are into the multiplayer stuff. Doesn't really interest me. They announced Skate and supposedly show off a first image of Dragon Age 4, but we didn't see anything about that, though. The only game that seemed to have interested me out of the 50 event was the basically Zoink Lost in Random. Based on the gameplay and based on the footage that they showed, that one looked like I was getting a little bit of a Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas vibe out of it. So that certainly isn't a bad thing, but that's really the only positive thing I could really think about in regards of EA's play. I mean, they talked about, they brought up the whole Black Lives Matters and racism and all that stuff, which is all fine and dandy and all that stuff, but it's just, it was unappealing, though. To me, it was definitely nothing really blew me out of the water. Maybe it's because, you know what, I have not been impressed with EA over the years. I feel like they've made a lot of bad decisions that put them into the spot that they are right now. Maybe there's some stuff that they actually do good at, but given their reputation, they've really, shall we say, burned a lot of bridges, though. Who knows? Maybe Burnout Paradise City Remastered will actually be a good game. I might try that one out. So we'll have to wait and see, but overall, my impressions with it, outside of the one game, though, I just wasn't really impressed with it, though. And last time I checked, though, it apparently seems to be that the response to the EA Play was kind of mixed. With last time I checked, it was 21Ks liked and 29Ks disliked, but most comments in the comment section have been pretty much a lot of not happy with what they've shown. So excuse me, maybe there are some people who enjoy it, and that's fine. If you liked it, fine, more power to you. But for me, though, it was just boring and just bad, except for just one game and so forth. So overall, I wasn't impressed with EA Play. It felt as though take everything you liked about a Nintendo Direct and just throw it out the window. And I seriously hope that what Google does with their Stadia Connect, hopefully they don't do what EA did with their EA Play and all that stuff. I'm hoping that's not the case when they do their Stadia Connect next month. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the NPD charts? Were there any games that you were glad that made it onto the list? Were there games that you were hoping to make it onto the list? Are you pleased, as I was, to see Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition make it onto the list? what are your thoughts about the report that WB Games could be up for sale? Do you think this report is true? And if so, do you think we could see Take-Two Interactive buy some of their IPs, or EA, or Activision Blizzard? What are your thoughts about the Pokemon Present or the Pokemon Direct or anything like that? Did you like some of the announcements that you made? Are you looking forward to the expansion pass for Pokemon Sword and Shield? Are you looking forward to the remake of Pokemon Snap? Are you looking forward to the two mobile upcoming mobile game, Pokemon Cafe, an update to Pokemon Go, or even trying out that Pokemon Smile or anything like that? What are your reports about the PS5 price point, though? Do you agree that this report is fake based on what Amazon France is saying? Do you think it's still real? Do you think it's the right decision to have a graphical option for the upcoming remake of Demon Souls, or do you think they should not add a graphic option at all? And do you think Sony has cleared the air in regards to the upcoming launch title, Spider-Man Miles Morales, or do you think the whole situation is still confusing? And what did you thought about EA Play? Did you enjoyed it in any way, or did you think it was boring as hell as I am, or you don't think it was that good at all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!